Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
برامجنا متوفرة بالعديد من اللغات. يرجى زيارة suprememastertv.com/schedule.
To me, God is truth and love. God is ethics and morality. God is fearlessness. God is a source of light and life. And yet, He is above and beyond all these. Please continue watching to find out more.
Helia, cherished viewers. Helia translates as hello in Malayalam, the official language of Lakshadweep. My name is Arush. The creative people of Lakshadweep respect your noble choice to live a compassionate life. May Allah bless you. Born Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, the man who came to be known as the Great Souled, or Mahatma Gandhi Ji, was an exemplary spiritual practitioner and visionary leader of India. Born in 1869, this passionate servant of humanity first became a lawyer. However, he felt a different calling from within as he discovered a fervent wish to improve the lives of all people. The beloved Mahatma Gandhi Ji sometimes spoke about desired changes in government. However, he would meditate and fast to encourage a non-violent and beneficial outcome. He thus became an example of peaceful change for an entire country. In his book, All Men Are Brothers, Mahatma Gandhi Ji humbly reflects on his own life and inner realizations as a way to illustrate the unity of our global spiritual family. In one passage, he describes faith as a divine principle within us all, regardless of religion. It is faith that steers us through stormy seas, faith that moves mountains, and faith that jumps across the ocean. That faith is nothing but a living, wide-awake consciousness of God within. He who has achieved that faith wants nothing. Bodily diseased, he is spiritually healthy. Physically poor, he rolls in spiritual riches. Now we would like to share with you Mahatma Gandhi's eloquent thoughts from the book, All Men Are Brothers. Chapter 2. Religion and Truth. By religion, I do not mean formal religion or customary religion, but that religion which underlies all religions, which brings us face to face with our Maker. Let me explain what I mean by religion. It is not the Hindu religion, which I certainly prize above all other religions, but the religion which transcends Hinduism, which changes one's very nature, which binds one indissolubly to the truth within, and which ever purifies. It is the permanent element in human nature which counts no cost too great in order to find full expression, and which leaves the soul utterly restless until it has found itself, known its Maker, and appreciated the true correspondence between the Maker and itself. I have not seen him, neither have I known him. I have made the world's faith in God my own, and as my faith is ineffaceable, I regard that faith as amounting to experience. However, as it may be said that to describe faith as experience is to tamper with truth, it may perhaps be more correct to say that I have no word for characterizing my belief in God. There is an indefinable mysterious power that pervades everything. I feel it, though I do not see it. It is this unseen power which makes itself felt and yet defies all proof, because it is so unlike all that I perceive through my senses. It transcends the senses, but it is possible to reason out the existence of God to a limited extent. I do dimly perceive that whilst everything around me is ever changing, ever dying, there is, underlying all that change, a living power that is changeless, that holds all together, that creates, dissolves, and recreates. That informing power or spirit is God. And since nothing else I see merely through the senses can or will persist, He alone is. And is this power benevolent or malevolent? I see it as purely benevolent. For I can see that in the midst of death, life persists. In the midst of untruth, truth persists. In the midst of darkness, light persists. Hence, I gather that God is life, truth, light. He is love. He is the supreme God. I know too that I shall never know God if I do not wrestle with and against evil, even at the cost of life itself. I am fortified in the belief by my own humble and limited experience. The purer I try to become, the nearer to God I feel myself to be. How much more should I be near to Him when my faith is not a mere apology, as it is today, but has become as immovable as the Himalayas and as white and bright as the snows on their peaks. This belief in God has to be based on faith which transcends reason. Indeed, even the so-called realization has at bottom an element of faith without which it cannot be sustained. In the very nature of things, it must be so. Who can transgress the limitations of his being? I hold that complete realization is impossible in this embodied life, nor is it necessary. A living, immovable faith is all that is required for reaching the full spiritual height attainable by human beings. God is not outside this earthly case of ours. Therefore, exterior proof is not of much avail, if any at all. We must ever fail to perceive Him through the senses because He is beyond them. We can feel Him, if we will, but withdraw ourselves from the senses. The divine music is incessantly going on within ourselves, but the loud senses drown the delicate music, which is unlike and infinitely superior to anything we can perceive or hear with our senses. But He is no God who merely satisfies the intellect, if He ever does. God, to be God, must rule the heart and transform it. He must express Himself in even the smallest act of His votary. This can only be done through a definite realization more real than the five senses can ever produce. Sense perceptions can be, often are, false and deceptive, however real they may appear to us. Where there is realization outside the senses, it is infallible. It is proved not by extraneous evidence, but in the transformed conduct and character of those who have felt the real presence of God within. Such testimony is to be found in the experiences of an unbroken line of prophets and sages in all countries and climes. To reject this evidence is to deny oneself. To me, God is truth and love. God is ethics and morality. God is fearlessness. God is the source of light and life, and yet He is above and beyond all these. God is conscience. He is even the atheism of the atheist. He transcends speech and reason. He is a personal God to those who need His personal presence. He is embodied to those who need His touch. He is the purest essence. He simply is to those who have faith. He is all things to all men. He is in us and yet above and beyond us. He is long-suffering. He is patient, but He is also terrible. With Him, ignorance is no excuse. And withal, He is ever forgiving, for He always gives us the chance to repent. He is the greatest democrat the world knows, for he leaves us unfettered to make our own choice between evil and good. He is the greatest tyrant ever known, for he often dashes the cup from our lips and under the cover of free will leaves us a margin so wholly inadequate as to provide only mirth for himself. Therefore, Hinduism calls it all his sport. To see the universal and all-pervading spirit of truth face to face, one must be able to love the meanest of creation as oneself, and a man who aspires after that cannot afford to keep out of any field of life. That is why my devotion to truth has drawn me into the field of politics. And I can say without the slightest hesitation, and yet in all humility, that those who say that religion has nothing to do with politics do not know what religion means. Identification with everything that lives is impossible without self-purification. Without self-purification, the observance of the law of ahimsa must remain an empty dream. God can never be realized by one who is not pure of heart. Self-purification, therefore, must mean purification in all walks of life. And purification being highly infectious, purification of oneself necessarily leads to the purification of one's surroundings. But the path of self-purification is hard and steep. To attain to perfect purity, one has to become absolutely passion-free in thought, speech, and action. To rise above the opposing currents of love and hatred, attachment and repulsion. I know that I have not in me as yet that triple purity, in spite of constant ceaseless striving for it. That is why the world's praise fails to move me. Indeed, it very often stings me. To conquer the subtle passions seems to me to be far harder than the physical conquest of the world by the force of arms. I am but a poor struggling soul, yearning to be wholly good, wholly truthful, and wholly non-violent in thought, word, and deed, but ever failing to reach the ideal, which I know to be true. It is a painful climb, but the pain of it is a positive pleasure to me. Each step upward makes me feel stronger and fit for the next. I am endeavoring to see God through service of humanity, for I know that God is neither in heaven nor down below, but in everyone. Indeed, religion should pervade every one of our actions. Here, religion does not mean sectarianism. It means a belief in ordered moral government of the universe. It is not less real because it is unseen. This religion transcends Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, etc. It does not supersede them. It harmonizes them and gives them reality. Caring viewers, thank you for your company on today's Words of Wisdom. Please join us again tomorrow for part 2 of this program. Coming up next is Cherishing All Sentient Beings, Talk to the Animals, and The Animal Communicator, right after noteworthy news here on Supreme Master Television. May you be comforted in knowing the source of the highest truth and wisdom.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.